you give us the spiritual clap, please, sir? Okay. Hi guys, and welcome to Geek Talk, where we talk deep and geek about keyboards, synthesizers, and music production. And my special guest, once again, Mr. Gareth Jones.
Here I am.
Gareth, thanks again for having us.
My pleasure, thanks for coming.
We've really enjoyed the first, if you guys watched the first interview, we talked about Gareth's Electrogenetic album out on September the 18th. Definitely check it out. Now, I've since then had a chance to sit in Gareth's sweet spot, and for those of you who think I'm being perverted, in the sweet spot in audio engineering basically just means the help me out here, the equilateral,
in the middle of the speakers.
In the middle of the speaker, dead center. And it was just really great, as I say, because I've been listening to Gareth's album over the last couple of weeks and getting into it for this interview, and to actually sit on his chair and hear the way he hears it was just absolutely mind-blowing. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I want to just talk to you about a few of the geeky stuff for the geeks out there.
That's why we're here.
I see you're a Logic man.
I'm a big Logic fan, yeah.
Thank you. And I just want to say to all the guys there who keep trying to put me onto Ableton and things like that.
Well, I do love Live as well.
Okay.
I use Ableton Live in my collaborative projects because it's a language that I speak jointly with some of my friends. My friend Chris in Naus Alpha project speaks Pro Tools and Ableton. So it's a common language where we use Ableton. And Nick Hook is also a Pro Tools and Ableton guy.
I see.
So in the work I do with Nick, we use Ableton as well. But I kind of I go way back with Logic and Creator, way back to Atari days.
Back to eMagic.
Yeah, man.
Before it became on Mac.
Atari MIDI only. So I got a long relationship with the company. I'm a huge fan anyway. I've got a current great relationship with Apple and some of the team in Cupertino. And at the start of this album, it was clear to me that I was going to create it in Logic for what it's worth. Sure. I mean, as I said all along, it doesn't really matter.
Yes.
But somehow it does matter as well.
Yes.
So,
yes. I think this is something I got from Dave Bascombe as well. Was I find it's usually the novices or us people who are not on your level. We kind of get fixated on the gear, and people like you usually say it's not about the gear, it's about you, the artist, and I think DAWs. I think we're at a position now where most DAWs will do the job. It's just
they're all amazing. So
amazing.
Really, it's just a connection thing. But and I have a deep connection with Logic, and I'm delighted. And all my commissioned work is done in Logic. Really, when all my commission mixing, I take files and I build Logic sessions. So I'm very comfortable, and I love it.
I remember when Logic became known as the Pro Tools killer at one point, because it really was. You could do everything on it that you could do on Pro Tools, and
like you say, they all do everything now.
This is true.
They're all amazing.
This is true.
So,
well, coming back to your Electrogenetic album, as I say, just sitting here listening to it was absolutely amazing. We're going to sort of do a studio tour now, guys, and I'm going to bring in Simon Forsyth, who's hiding in the back there, and
Simon.
I'm going to get Simon actually to ask the questions on the modulars, because although I'm fascinated by that kind of stuff, I think it's fair to give someone like Simon the platform, because he's got the in-depth geeky knowledge on that. But before we get on to that, Gareth, I just want to ask you, listening to your album once again, which is out on September the 18th, buy it. It's fucking brilliant.
Thank you, Vaughan.
I'll take that tenner later. But something Simon also talked about is the seamlessness, as I talked about on our previous interview. It's very organic sounding, although it's electronic, and it's this kind of seamless blending with the sort of found sounds and the modular sounds. And how did you achieve that? Is that a stupid question, or is it just what you do? It's
what I do.
It's just what you do.
It's everything I do now is a result of 50 years working with, if it takes me 5 minutes, it's taken me 50 years plus 5 minutes to do. So I've got a kind of approach to sound and how I personally work. And so it just turned out like that.
Well, it's just also interesting because, guys, while I was sitting here listening to it, Gareth was standing at the back listening to it. And I asked Gareth, I said, what are you hearing? And he said, no, he likes it. And the reason I asked you that question was because we as artists, we can't let things go. You seem to have made peace with, maybe I should ask the question this way. Were you at a point in your career where you suffered from that? Oh, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. How do you know when you can let something go? Because art is never finished. It's only abandoned. How do you know when you're at that point where you can abandon it?
Well, when it was mastered, I suppose.
Okay, well that's good.
When it was ready to master,
that's right.
Or even before, when I shared the private SoundCloud link with you guys. At that point, I'm done.
So you've let it go.
There are many great gurus, are hugely inspirational about us. Steve Jobs said famously, "Real artists ship," as regards software. Okay. Real artists. You have to get it out there.
Yes.
You have to get it. And hey, it's taken me a very long time, Vaughan. I can't sit on some pedestal and go, I know how to do it. It took me 40 years of not finishing stuff to get to this point now. And really, it was inspired by my collaborative work with, all the many great artists I worked with over the years, but also the original work that I've done with Spiritual Friendship and with Naus Alpha, where we just finished stuff, where we stopped judging. We said our job is not to judge ourselves. Our job is to make music. And I was able to bring that forward into doing a solo project and say, well, at some point, hey, it took me a year. I mean, I didn't work every day, all day on it, but it took me a year before I got to the point where I said, you know what? Here, I'm ready to share this.
It is very difficult when you are doing your own project, and as a lot of you guys in the community are self-producing yourself. It's very difficult when you are the artist and the producer.
It's very difficult.
Change hats and to sort of detach from that process.
For what it's worth, my advice about this, and I've underlined it a bit before and I underline it again now, is to really, our job is not to judge it. Our job is to make it. And of course we make critical decisions all the time, and we edit and we review and we go back. But our job is to silence the critic, the inner critic, make stuff. Many times I make stuff and I think it's shit. And then the next day I think, oh, it's not too bad. And the day after that I think, oh, actually, I could play that to my mates. And 2 days later I think, actually, I'm pretty pleased with this. Okay. And it's the same. I've had the experience. I love doing watercolours. I'm very enthusiastic amateur watercolorist, and it's not representational. Again, it's more abstract what I do. It happens exactly the same. I spend a couple of hours doing watercolors. I think it's all rubbish. Yeah. And in the past I would have thrown it away. And now the next day I look at it, I think, oh, that's not too bad. And 2 days later I'm like, I really love that one. Yeah. So I don't find my inner critic helpful.
Yeah.
I have to silence my inner critic. And I think that's good advice for all our friends and your followers.
Thank you. I think that's I've often said that logic is the enemy of creativity, because so this is why in the good old days, let's say Depeche come into the studio. Here's the album. They put it together, and you're left with Daniel to balance it and everything. They've done their part. You've done your part, but it's very difficult when you're doing everything. Because the engineer, although the engineer...
Well, it's just a different flow.
Yeah, it is. The criticism.
It's more difficult because if I'm working with a friend, when I work with Nick making Spiritual Friendship, I don't want Nick to get bored. And he doesn't want me to get bored. So we don't sit there chin scratching. Okay. We get on with it. Because our time's precious. He lives in America. I live here. Yeah. We've only got a few days together. We need to get shit done. Sure. Obviously, when you're on your own, we can be our own worst critic.
Okay, well, let's just get back onto the album. You've used a lot of modulars, and what would you say is the percentage of this is modulars, and how much of it is VST or plugins or samples?
Well, there's loads of plugins used in the mixing process because it's mixed in hybrid. It's mixed in Logic and through this tube summing mixer, this analog EQ, and this awesome compressor. Okay. I've got a mixing chain that I used to mix the album. So it gets touched by tubes and transistors and analog compression. Plugins in the mixing, virtual mixing consoles in here, as much as I want, really. Like many people in my world, I got millions of plugins. But most of the
synthesizers.
The writing of the sound, the creation of the sound is made with my modular rig. There's some voice. This JX3P is used on the album. One of the big sounds on the album is the sample piano. Yeah.
Yes, tell us.
The piano has a history. It's the piano I played as a kid from my mum's living room. About 10 years ago, I visited my mum, and I knew the piano wasn't going to stay there very long, and I took a little Roland handheld recorder, and I multi-sampled the piano. I played every note loud, medium and soft, and with a pedal on and off, and I took a big multi-sample of the piano. It was horrifically out of tune, and then some years later I tuned each note as best I could. And finished up with a very personal piano sound for me.
So that is the sound of that. So we naturally assume it was a plug-in or a...
No, it's a sample piano that I built myself.
That's amazing.
From the piano that I played over 50 years ago in my mum's living room. So that's like a huge piece of temporal connection going on. Obviously, it's got some reverb on it at times. I'm a massive fan of the Eventide Black Hole. Pedals at home actually now. But and a lot of the piano was tracked with the reverb on it. So I committed to the sound as I played it. So that's a big part. But it's a homemade sample piano. So that's a big part of it. And otherwise, really, it's the core make noise stuff. There's a couple of Moog modules I've got that are super important for the bottom end.
Absolutely.
And I don't know what else I use now, unless I were to look through the individual sessions.
Well, I think this goes nicely into the sort of mini studio tour we're going to do now. So I'm going to get up, we're going to do the camera on hands-free, and we're going to just look at some of your pieces of gear, and you can talk us through it, and then Simon's going to ask you some questions on the modulars.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's great.
Right, Gareth, we are here at the HandsView camera, and we're going to just do a little mini studio tour for the viewers here. Let's start off over here. You've got a JX3P, and this featured quite. You use this a lot on your.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it's my only polyphonic keyboard. Apart from the Access, which hasn't got a keyboard, the Virus. That's a friend of mine gave me that. I love that. I love the control. I love that it's digitally controlled analog, I think. Sweet sound. It's what I have. So that got used. Speakers everywhere, as you can see. Very important.
Those monitors of yours are amazing. Could you tell us what they are?
Barefoots, and they are legendary monitors, much loved in the pro audio community.
Yeah.
Very coherent, very tuneful bass end. It's not just sub; it's sub with notes.
Yes,
which is super important and high resolution for me. I like them. I use a SonarWorks plugin actually to compensate for the room.
I saw
there's a bit of a dip in this room.
Oh, right.
SonarWorks changed my life with the bass end.
I saw the
really recommended.
I did see this. I saw the SonarWorks on your master bus there, and I was going to ask you. I see. Oh, there's the preset.
Look at the difference. Look at that suck out in the room. That's minus 60 dB at 90 hertz.
Wow.
So before I had the SonarWorks, I was tending to put way too much 90 hertz on, and because I wasn't hearing it. And not enough in the, anyway, the inverse of that curve. So SonarWorks has been great for me. It's a poor man's Trinov. The Trinov is the state-of-the-art one, but SonarWorks is the poor man's Trinov. I highly recommend it.
Okay, well, that's great. Okay, well, let's look at your control console over there, Gareth.
Behringer. I had a bit of a breakthrough with Behringer because I was at Guitar Centre and they gave me a voucher and I bought the Behringer Model D, which I thought sounded really great. This is not for the Moog Instagram feed.
Yeah, no, of course not.
And I was really impressed by it. And Behringer used to be crap, in my humble opinion, but they seem to be now pretty awesome. And after my good experience with the Model D, which I really enjoy the sound of, great bottom end, I needed my old Mackie controllers wore out. And I looked at different options. The Mackie was quite expensive. I thought I'd try the Behringer, and it's turned out really good. It's very compact. It's got nice colours on it. Fits nicely under my monitors. I love the faders, you see, because I'm old school. So I spent so many years on big consoles. I find faders really creative and useful.
I used to work in Turnkey Soho Sound, as you'd know the place many years ago. I used to be the salesman and the buyer, and I know that Behringer had a lot of problems back in those days.
Well, they were the very cheap bottom end of the market, and they're still super affordable. But this is it's quality shit, in my opinion. That's right. It was the Midas team that came in and changed everything, I think. Especially probably with this controller. Anyway, that is a great controller for me. Controllers aren't for everyone. This is great too. The Softube Console 1, I think it's called. Console 1, yeah.
Okay.
This comes with software as well. This the basic configuration emulates a channel strip on a SSL console.
It does, yes.
So I really like that. Again, hands-on, because the thing for me with hands-on is I can turn more than one knob at once, which I really like. With a mouse, I can only adjust one parameter at a time.
And that was a question, Gareth. I know a lot of people are in the box these days. And when I interviewed Mesh, the band Mesh, you produced their...
No, I mixed a record with them.
Oh, you mixed it?
Yeah, I didn't produce
it. Okay, it was the Weaker Light 2006 album. And I remember Rich Silverthorne saying, this was 2006, he was amazed. I think they met you at a hotel room or something. He said he was amazed when you came in, they met you, and he said, where's all your gear? Because I think this was, I think you were one of those forerunners that went into the box very, in the box is very popular these days.
Yeah, of course.
But he was amazed at the time to see, like, where's all your gear? You were doing it all on a G4 Mac at the time. But the question I'm asking is because you're sort of old school, that is why you do like, obviously, having the hands-on control, hence the controllers and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, it's part of my history.
Yes.
And it's not only... It's there's a lot of new school musicians and producers who love all the faders as well.
Yes,
but it's kind of deep in my DNA, I suppose.
I think it's just nice to have a more hands-on feel. Let's look around what you've got here. I see you've got a Revox. Do you ever? Was this album?
No, this album. I didn't have the Revox. No, I thought about putting it on tape. I had this beautiful Stellavox. The bottom end was really important to me on the album, the super low subs, and I got it to a point that I was delighted with it, and I ran out of time and energy to pursue it further with tape. The bottom end on the Revox is incredible, but this album didn't go to tape. The next album might. I don't know.
Well, I'm pleased to hear there's going to be a next album, so that's very good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, let's
I'm pleased as well. God willing, if God wills it for him.
Gareth, you're looking great, man. I'm sure we're going to get another 50 years out of you, so don't you worry.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so let's walk down this. This is a tube.
This is the Thermonic Culture Fat Bustard.
Yeah.
It's a tube summing mixer.
Yes.
Very simple, 14:2. Lovely overdrive on this knob. Saturation, I suppose we should call it.
Yeah.
Pultec style EQ.
Oh, great, yeah.
And I can just split up my output into 7 stereo stems, if you like.
Okay.
And I just love the sound of it. Ever since I bought it, it's in use almost all the time.
So would you say is this like an integral part of your sound now?
It's an integral part of this album.
Oh, okay.
Since Studio B started coming online at home, I'm mixing more out of outputs 1 and 2 only for compatibility between. If I'm out of outputs 1 and 2, I can just open it up at home because I've got. I'm a big fan of the UAD plugins. I've got the 16 cores of UAD in that Mac, and I've got 8 core at home. So the sessions move between Studio A and Studio B easily, but I haven't got a Fat Bustard at home. But still, this album's all about going through the tubes and the clariphonic EQ. This is a Genius EQ that does only treble, basically. So, but it's got a lovely smooth sound. I like it a lot. It's strapped to my mix bus all the time. And then, relatively new for me, but used all over this album again, the EQ goes into the tweakers, these amazing Kush compressors that have lovely saturation and colour. So that's just stayed. That stayed for the whole chain. Everything got mixed through that chain.
I think there are a lot of in the box emulations, but I think there's a lot to be said for having the sort of like the organic, or I don't say it's not the organic, but the sort of the sound that these things give you that plugins probably can't. You know, there's a richness.
Maybe there's so many people do great. It's just fun, man.
It's fun.
It's just fun. Like we were saying about vinyl before. It's a beautiful way to do it. Like recording to tape might not sound better. These I use metric halo audio interfaces. I've got a lot in here. I think I got 5. And they sound absolutely great, and I really enjoy using them. But there's something really fun about recording to tape as well. So if it's fun, it's a good vibe, you know.
That's true. And we're also in a lot of the debates we have about analog versus digital, plugins versus hardware. I think it's just, as we'll talk about when we get to the modulars now, they just inspire you to work in a different way.
Yeah, I'm a hybrid guy. Yeah, very much. I'm very comfortable with digital, and I love working with analog, you know. But the modular has been a huge part of my musical development. It is through the modular that I've been able to create finished pieces that I feel willing to share with you guys, because so that's been really, really important to me personally. Rediscovering modern Eurorack modular has catapulted me into being a published artist. Okay. So that has to be said. You know, although it's all cool, you know, without the modular, this record wouldn't exist.
Brilliant. Well, as I say, this brings us right into the modular section here, and I'm going to now bring Simon in to ask the questions regarding the modulars. So, Simon, here you go. Okay, and we're live.
Hi, Gareth.
Hi, Simon.
Hi.
Welcome again.
I see you're a big Make Noise fan.
I'm a huge Make Noise fan, yep.
You've got several cabinets here. So you've got, is these what you would say are more ancillary? This appears to be a more central.
Well, that's my kind of travelling rig. Obviously, it's modular, so I can move stuff about. This is the rig that I took to America when I wrote a couple of pieces in mother-in-law's basement that I mentioned. Yep. And it went home for Christmas where I did that Mercury piece. So that's the kind of travelling rig. Sometimes it gets changed about, obviously, because that's the joy of modular. But there's a lot of empty space in this one because Studio B's being set up at home in lockdown. So a lot of the stuff, these modules have gone home. But yeah, so that's the core. Like I said to you before, I fell in love with Make Noise, I think, because my friend had some years ago, and I couldn't really understand the labelling, and that was kind of intriguing. And then I started to get it a bit. So I still Voyager Discovery, obviously, like all of us with modular. Actually, the first Make Noise I bought was this Echophon, because you know, most of my commissioned work is mixing, and I thought, I could kind of justify buying modular because I was using it on my job, on my day job. So I started, I think, with that was my first Make Noise one, the Echophon. And obviously, like everyone with modular, it just started to expand.
So did you get into modular in the original days, or was it the Euro?
Yeah, I had a 100M in the 80s,
oh, right, yeah.
Like just two rows of 100M, kind of limited. My thing about modern modular is obviously it's not cheap, but it's vaguely affordable. And the vintage stuff, I just can't afford to maintain it. Never mind, I can't afford to buy it in the first place. Yes. But I can't afford to maintain the cool. Not that this stuff goes wrong, but the cool thing about this is if it does go wrong, it's really easy to replace or fix.
It's deceptively cheap, isn't it? Because each module is like a few £100. It feels like it's cheap, and then you realise that
it's not. It feels arrogant to say it's not cheap, but it's vaguely. If you're an enthusiast, it's vaguely manageable, you know, in a way that the vintage stuff isn't.
Yes,
you know? And it's super reliable, obviously, and for me, it's been hugely creative.
Effectively,
I think that's so important. My friend Daniel recommended that to me at the start of my Eurorack journey. He said, look, buy a rack, don't think you've got to fill it. And I think I did. I think the first rack I bought actually was this, which is empty now. This I bought it at Schneider's Bureau in Berlin. Yeah. This Dupfer flight case thing. And I think I just put a couple of modules in it, probably the Echophon and something else, a filter, WMD filter. It's at home. So I just, you know, gradually, and then
it
finish up with all this shit.
Yeah, and then it gets you. So I was looking through, because obviously that you're working a lot with found sounds and samples and so forth.
Yeah.
So I was kind of curious looking through your setup where that comes in. But I noticed you've got the Morphogene.
Yeah.
Would you say that you use that a lot?
Yes, I love the Morphogene. I love all these. I love samplers anyway, man. I was in with samplers at the beginning. So, and then we had this long period of software samplers that I didn't really find that inspiring. Although I do like, I don't know if you're a Logic user, but I do like the new quick sampler that they've done. Has kind of brought me back to the joys of early sampling. I'm using that.
Finally, the Red Matica stuff has come.
Yes, the Red Matica stuff's come through, and that's so great. The new quick sampler in Logic. It's not on this album because this album was completed before but in all the work. So that's great. I've kind of got back to early sampler enthusiasm but the hardware samplers are great. We were talking about the sampler from ALM earlier.
That's right,
So
the squid sample.
The squid, yeah. But this, I've loved this for vocals. There's some kind of trippy vocal effects on the album. A lot of that is made with fragments of vocal in here, and the time travel kind of stuff you can do with the granular stuff in Morphogene. I've really enjoyed.
So when you're creating tracks from things that you've captured maybe weeks, months, years beforehand, how do you come about bringing that all together? Do you try to bring those samples into modules like this and then perform with them so it becomes integral with the track, or do you find that
I think most of the tracks started with without field recordings. Okay. So in other words, that like a pulsing harmonic bed or something, or not so much drums. Even a lot of the drums on my record are added afterwards.
Do you have some sort of melodic?
So there's some kind of sequenced, arpeggiated, harmonic kind of vibe going that I've built with the Rene and the touchable pressure points and. Whatever DPOs and the Moog Mother. I don't know. It would have been actually quite interesting to take session notes. It's hard to be asked because it's kind of a different part of your brain. But in the future, I would like to take more photographs and maybe make some session notes. So I could say, well, actually, I remember that process. I haven't even got photographs of the patches. The joy of modular is
the joy and the pain of modular is that
it would be
transitory, isn't it?
It would be nice to just have them as works of art, the photographs of the patches.
Yeah.
But like you say, Simon, the one of the things that I love about the analog modular is you make something, and if it's any good, you record it.
Yeah.
And then if it's not any good, you don't record it. And if you come back to it like a week later and you think, actually, I don't really like that bass, you just make another one. Yeah. I really like that. It forces me to commit. Whereas I find for myself, when I use a software synth, I don't commit so readily because I know I can always tweak it. Yeah. And this is a very, very different process for me. It's because I'm not like a proper musician. Yes. I'm not someone who can sit down and play you as American songbook or anything. I don't know how to do that kind of stuff. So being forced into this world where an amazing noise is coming out, then I record it. And if it grows into something else, that's great.
Yeah, there's something inherently more rewarding about creating something from scratch than flicking through presets,
presets is soul destroying.
I mean, that's it. It just
soul destroying for me.
And you end up realizing you've just lost an hour auditioning hi-hats or things like that. Whereas it's so much quicker to just that sounds right. Cool.
And in other words, the fact that I can't save it and the fact that I can't get back there is a feature. It's magic. It's like making magic for me. Even if I had a photograph of the patch, I'd never be able to recreate it. It'd never sound the same,
Yeah, you're capturing a moment in time.
To me, that's part of what helps me move forward through this maze of trying to come out with a finished piece. It's a real feature. People, I mean, you get it, and everyone who works with modular gets it. But if you don't work with modular, it's hard. You're like, but how can I get back there? Well, you can't. That's the point.
Yeah.
You know, if it sounds good, track it.
Yeah.
You know,
it's about the experience. And it's the journey.
Yeah,
and it's not necessary. It's like the difference between teleporting and making a journey.
Yeah.
On the journey, you might find something that you would never have discovered if you just teleported or if you flew.
Yeah, exactly. It's like going by bicycle.
Yeah, I'm a road trip nut. I love because the journey is part of that, and modular is the same sort of thing. It is for music, you know, because often you'll get to a point and go, oh, I wasn't expecting that.
Absolutely.
And it's actually better than the thing you were heading for.
And and I'm really trying to respect and honour that and give that credit in the name of the project.
Yeah.
Electrogenetic is born from the electronics, you know. So shout out to Make Noise and Dieter Dupfer and everyone and Moog and everyone who's made this awesome stuff that we're privileged to play with.
And it's grown incredibly now.
Eurorack's grown, isn't it?
I mean, the whole Superbooth thing has become. Well, shame it didn't happen for real this year, but hopefully next year. But I mean, that's the first time I met you. It was the first proper one of that, and it's just mushrooms.
Was it the first Superbooth where we met?
That was the first.
Nick and I did a gig there with Spiritual Friendship
at the Funkhouse.
We got invited. Andreas invited us to do a gig, which was very sweet of him, and we loved it.
Oh, he's quite a character.
He's amazing.
And
Schneider's Bureau is really the store that helped me on my musical journey, because without them I wouldn't be where I am now.
They have become the centre for this whole.
It's a real. I mean, the Rubber Dub are great, and Juno Records are great, and there's loads of them. But it was really my interaction with the team at Schneider's that I had a great experience at Schneider's. I went there when I decided to get into Eurorack. I had a bit of money came in or something. I had 5,000 euros. I thought, that's my budget. I'm gonna buy something, a synth for $5,000, right? And I went there like 3 or 4 times, and I couldn't decide what to buy. And I came away with Dark Energy. And Dark Energy. I came away with that, and I never spent the money in a block after that, because it wasn't the right approach. I was so overwhelmed and excited and enthused that I had to do what you started off by saying. Started small, and I bought a module and that mod. Oh, a Dark Energy and an Echophon, amazing.
Yeah.
And then I had like weeks of fun, and then I thought, maybe another filter, you know, and so on.
It grows like a tree. You don't know what you're going to end up with.
No, of course not.
You start out and then, let's say, like making the music, you think, well, actually, what I thought I wanted when I first started building one of these is now different. I'm now far more into sound manipulation and effects,
and that's great. But and that's beautiful, isn't it, with modular? Because it means you can sell stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and I've done that on a few occasions where I thought, actually, I'm not really connecting with this module. Might as well sell it, put it on eBay or Reverb or whatever.
It's a very
Might
healthy market as well.
Yeah, I know.
You don't lose much money off.
And it's really hard to know if you're going to love it. It's like a guitar. Until you owned it until you played it for a couple of months, you might not even know if you love it.
Yeah, it's.
But it is. You do need to be a bit disciplined, otherwise you can it's like just Euro crack, isn't it? You can spend all your money on There you go. One of my friends, Ian Duncan, has got a rule. I don't know if he's still sticking to it. He's got like a rack, and it's full, right? So if he wants a new module, something has to go. That's discipline, man. I'm really impressed by that.
I've got a 7U portable Make Noise case.
Yeah, okay.
And that's kind of my working case.
Yeah.
And then the other case is a kind of library.
Yeah.
So I swap things in and out as and when.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do. Yeah.
I've just gone with the Expert Sleepers ES9.
That's the USB to the computer, right? Yeah.
Game changer.
I know. Daniel's got one of those. Yeah, I know.
Then all of a sudden you can completely integrate it with Logic. You've got 16 channels of CV or audio.
I know.
In each direction.
I know. I've got such incredible analog to digital conversion with my metric halos in here that so far I've avoided. But I've got this, and I've got on my got the Expert Sleepers here. sending out, which I use for clocks mostly. I hardly use it for CV, for notes occasionally, but really I've got streams of clocks coming out of here when I'm working. And then I've got an Antelope Audio Synergy Zen SC at home that's got optical out. So I bought the Expert Sleepers optical output for clocks and CVs. But I do like the look of the ES9. I get it, but it makes it like a homogenized, not homogenized. What's the word?
It makes it very integrated.
It's very integrated. Then you've got your inputs and outputs in your rack, and just one USB going to the computer. Awesome.
For portability.
Yeah, I know, man. It's and it's so great to be able to split the patch up if you want to and just record stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of my improvisation started with stereo out, which I kind of liked as well, because in America, the 2 tracks I wrote in America, I bought a UAD Arrow, a UA Arrow, which only got stereo in. So that was it. That's my deal. I had to make a commitment to stereo. But I like the Oz makes great stuff. I like the ES9 a lot. It's really cool. I like the like you say, multi in and out, all just down one USB.
That's one of the other nice things I like about it, especially when you go to some of the shows like Super Booth and you get to actually meet the people that design and make this stuff. It's not. It's not like a Roland piece of kit or something like that. It's part of a big company. You're talking to the person that wrote the code, designed the boards, and it's
nice.
Yeah.
It's a nice
craftsman.
It's like it's boutique electronics, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I kind of, as you said, I got hooked on Make Noise. I don't know why. I love their the boxes that they sell full. I never bought one, but I admired all that, and I gradually bought more and more Make Noise. Hey, it's a huge field, isn't it? And I've got a lifetime's exploration to do here, even still. So there you go.
You're a modern day Buchla, basically.
Kind of, I guess.
It's very much that sort of.
Yeah. Anyway, there's something about it's all great. Hey, it's all awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Gareth, thank you for that. Thank you, Simon, for that little bit of modular tour. As I say, Simon's definitely the guy to talk about things like that. But you seem it's always great to see 2 sort of like super geeks geeking out about things like that.
I hope we didn't get too overexcited. We didn't embarrass ourselves.
Well, that is why I've separated my channel into a piano keyboard and a Geek Talk session.
Good idea.
It's just,
people know what they're getting.
Yeah, people do know what they're getting.
Red triangle in the corner.
Geek Talk, yeah. I just want to ask you about the strong room, because you did move this. This is your room. This was your original room, and you've got it back again because you did move out here at one point and you did more remote mixing. Is that right?
Yeah, I got this room. I moved back from Berlin in '92. Yeah. They were building these rooms, and this room was built for me. And I was here for many years. It's a great community, creative community, technical community, amazing studios. And at one point, I think about 2006. It started to, the rent went up quite a lot. It started to feel painful to me. So I tried something different. I worked out of my house, and then I had a very portable setup. It wasn't that portable. With an assistant, I could set up different white spaces for different projects depending on. And then, I don't know, a few years ago, I needed a space. I rented an office at the end of this warehouse for a couple of months. And in that period, this room became available. And the studio manager at the time, Phil, still referred to it as my room. He said, Gareth, your room has become available. And it seemed like and I bought actually some monitors in here and had a listen to it and decided really if I wanted to move back in. This artwork that I had commissioned, I had in storage at the time. So I got the artwork out of storage and put it back up on the walls. And I felt I'm very much enjoying being here. It's a very dynamic, thriving, creative, artistic, musical community. And there's a bar. What more do you want?
And I when I came here, I said to Simon, God, this is one hell of a man cave. But then I thought, no, this isn't actually a man cave. There's something quite spiritual about this. You've got a really, as I say, just the way it's done, you've got a really good vibe going here, and the sound is good in here and everything. And I think speaking geekily, if there is such a word, there's no such thing as a perfect sounding room. That's something else for the community, because people are always trying to look for the perfect sound in a room. And even a room like this, which is better than most people could work in, you use something like the SonarWorks plugin just to
I mean, it's a joke. This room is 6 meters by 3 meters by 2 meters, which is all wrong. Because the numbers divide into each other really. So it's a wonderful creative space, and I've made some great records and done some amazing music with very talented people in this room. But acoustically, it's shit.
It is really about understanding the room.
I mean, SonarWorks has corrected for me, and headphones are a great part of my life, and so on. And I've got many different monitors, but they're a lot better. There are some rooms, even in this complex, that are acoustically far better, but they're way bigger and they're way more expensive. So it's everything's compromised. We could, if we had a $500,000 budget, we could build a really nice sounding room.
Sure we can. Should we start a crowdfunder?
That's your plan for me later, right?
Well,
after I bought the yacht,
we're gonna have a chat. And actually, we're gonna have a chat. But there was something I was asking Matt, and at the end of the Dave Bascombe interview, because I like to always give my people I'm interviewing a gift. And I asked Matt, I said, and I know Bascombe, I gave him a bottle of Chivas Regal. And I was speaking to Matt, I said, what does Gareth drink? He says, I don't know, we only drink tea together. So I got Lloyd, and I had a few people in the group trying to find out what you drink, because we wanted to buy you a little, nice. But we couldn't find anything. So, and it's terrible if you give someone a bottle of booze and they go, I don't drink, I can't drink. So I understand we wanted to buy you a gift, so maybe we could take you for a beer sometime or something. I understand you like a brew dog, you're a beer drinker.
I enjoy a craft beer.
Okay, so
which
well done,
we can conveniently get one after the interview.
Absolutely.
At the Strong Room Bar.
I think what we'll do is we've got some things to discuss with Gareth, and we'll definitely, I'm sure we can definitely get the beers. Gareth, I just want to say thank you so much. This has been an absolute honour and a dream come true, not only for me and my community. And I wish you all the best with this album. As I say, I'm going to be plugging it and posting it wherever I can.
Thank you very much, Vaughan. It's been a great pleasure having you all here in my room. I've enjoyed chatting.
Absolutely. So, guys, Gareth Jones, I will be putting links to all the album and all the things we've spoken about in the description below.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Adios.